What's up guys, Duster McDangles back here with another video, and welcome back to another NHL breakdown video. And in today's episode we're going to be getting into the trades that have gone down ever since July 1st all the way up here through the draft, as we are getting into the thick of it here with trades I think flying all the way up until Wednesday as soon as free agency starts. So we're going to take a look at the trades that have happened up to this point right now and look in the big ones. I know Seth Jones was a big trade, Sam Reinhart was a big trade. We got Duncan Keith, we've got Flyers trades, Vegas Golden Knights have gone in on some trades. So we're going to get into all of that here in today's episode. But if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future action, as well as hit that like button if you guys do enjoy this video and any other videos such as this. But let's go ahead and hop into the intro, and then we will get into the breakdown of the trades. So taking a look here, guys, starting July 1st at the trades, we've got the very first one of this off season, and we have the LA Kings and Nashville Predators doing some work here. We got two picks here, second round pick and a third round pick for next year for Victor Arvidsson. I know that he was a big target for a lot of teams, and the Kings snatched him up as they are looking to build for the offseason. I think one of the biggest and most shocking trades here, although we heard rumblings about it at the time, was Duncan Keith, but not really knowing what team he was going to go to. And he went to the Edmonton Oilers. I thought this was a very interesting trade here. The Blackhawks got Caleb Jones and a conditional third round pick. As you guys can see there, the conditions right there could potentially become a second round pick for next year if they make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. And Keith is top 4 in playoffs for time on ice during the first 3 rounds. A very weird condition, but it could upgrade to a second round pick. That could be pretty hefty for the Edmonton Oilers as they are trying to build. But hey, if you make it to the Stanley Cup Final and you get upgraded to a second round pick, honestly, I think that's worth it. We got a couple little trades here. Maltsev and a second round pick for Graves, Ryan Graves of the Colorado Avalanche. I think the main thing here that the Avs were really looking to do was they were not going to be able to protect Graves, so they figured might as well flip him for something, and they got a Maltsev and a second round pick out of it. Now, if we take a look at Maltsev, not one of the best players, I guess. Looking at his stats here, New Jersey Devils, played 33 games last year, was only 9 points, and nothing too crazy. Honestly, again, just trying to get something out of nothing if they were to just lose him to the Seattle Kraken, which they ultimately did not do. Looking at the next trade here, I thought this was a big one, and as you guys can see, I think the Islanders, you'll see a few other trades here on there, that they are making some cap space here to make a splash in free agency. Not too sure who it's going to be yet, but they got Nick Leddy, who I thought was a pretty solid defenseman, 5.5 mil off their sheets, and they picked up Richard Panik and a second round pick, who they actually got Aturati. I know he was touted potential top European skater in this year's draft. He didn't have a great season last year in COVID, and a lot of teams were basically scared of taking him, but the Islanders were not. They picked him up in the second round with that pick that they picked up, and honestly, that is an absolute snipe. I think he will pan out. I don't think he'll be a top line player, but he might be second, third line, especially fitting into that Islanders system. He'll find a way. I don't think he'll be playing next year. Maybe in 2, 3, 4 years down the road, he'll be a great slot in there for the Islanders if they keep him around. Jason Dickerson here, the Vancouver Canucks picked up for a third round pick. Honestly, trying to get some depth there as they're looking to make some moves, as we will see later on in these trades. Cornier and Aiden Hill, I thought that this was a big loss, I thought, for the Coyotes. Obviously getting ready for the expansion draft, they moved Hill to the Sharks, and they got a second round pick out of it. So honestly, for next year, second round pick, I know that they were hit pretty hard with the penalties this year with everything in the past. But they got a second-round pick out of it, Aiden Hill. They still have Kemper. They still have Ronta. I think they're still good at the goaltending position, although I think that after you guys take a look at the rest of these trades, I'm sure you guys have also been up to date with the trades. The Coyotes are not going to be a very good team next year. Sorry to my Coyotes fans or any Coyotes fans out there. You were sellers here at the opening of the trading here this year. It's not going to be looking good for you guys. So honestly, I could see them move Kemper maybe at the trade deadline. This next trade here was a trade I thought a lot of fans on both sides were a little upset with, especially Penguins fans giving up on Jared McCann pretty early in his career. I know they got him from the Florida Panthers. He's had a couple solid years if we are going to take a look at his stats. Let's see here, 28, 18, and then he came over to the Penguins, 17, 35, 32, not terrible, but in the playoffs, he really hasn't done anything in the playoffs. So honestly, as a Penguins fan, again, you can be upset about this trade. I don't think he was going to be safe in the expansion draft. I think if he was on the list, they would have lost him, or they would have lost him to the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft, which I think is one of the reasons why the Maple Leafs traded for him, because they didn't want to lose anyone else, especially Kerfoot or Dermott. Jared McCann was on their list. Kraken took McCann. Pittsburgh got Hollander back at a 7th-round pick in 2023, so nothing too crazy for Jared McCann, as it looks like they were trying to just get rid of him. Again, I don't know if management gave up on him or not, but it is what it is. Taking a look here, Berkeley Goodro ended up getting moved to the Rangers. Obviously, looks like Tampa Bay weren't going to be able to sign him, so they figured why not move him for at least a 7th-round pick, which is exactly what they did. Now, DeSimone went to the Rangers and a 4th-round pick for Brett Hauden. He went to the Vegas Golden Knights. Nothing too crazy there. As a big trade here, this is almost like a 3-team trade. Ryan Ellis to the Flyers, Philip Myers and Nolan Patrick went to the Predators, and then the Predators turned around and flipped Patrick to the Vegas Golden Knights for Cody Glass, which Cody Glass, I believe, one of their first picks in franchise history. They gave up on. He didn't really get a chance there in Vegas, which was pretty interesting to see, not being able to fit into that lineup. But Nashville gets a top touted player. He was a massive, he put up 100-plus points in juniors for a couple seasons. I think he's going to be a great player in the right system, and hopefully he'll find a home in Nashville, as well as they get Philip Myers. I think that's a solid piece on the back end, but they gave up Ryan Ellis. I think trying to move a little cap room here for him, or for getting rid of him to maybe bring in somebody else. Ryan Ellis, a little bit older. Flyers needed that stability on the back end with it. An offensive defenseman, Ryan Ellis, known to be very good at that. 6.25, pretty hefty price for him. Trying to take a look and see how many years he has left. He does have a very lengthy contract. I don't know if it will be I don't know if he'll be there the whole time, maybe till 2025. I could potentially see this with a potential buyout. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Looking at his stats again, last year, pretty off year. He was injured. I know 2 seasons ago he had that concussion, nasty hit from Corey Perry in the Winter Classic. But I mean, are these point totals exactly what you're wanting for the Flyers? I don't know, but we'll also see a trade later down or later up in the trades as to somebody else that they got that could be helping out as well. As we've got another move here for the Islanders, basically moving cap out of the way to bring in some more players here in free agency, as they moved Andrew Ladd, but they also sent a 2nd-round pick and 2 conditional picks, 1 second round and a potential 3rd round. You guys can read the conditions there, depending on if Ladd plays, but I doubt Ladd is going to play again. Another cap dump. The Islanders getting rid of some players, or getting rid of a player in order to make more cap space, as the trade above that as well. Flyers, future considerations, not too sure what that means, but they got rid of Gostisbehere, a 2nd-round pick and a 7th-round pick in 2022. Again, moving some cap off. They gave up on Gostisbehere, didn't really pan out. like they wanted him to. As we take a look at his stats, again, he played college hockey, which is pretty interesting, but he had a solid first three seasons, 46, 39, 65, even a solid fourth year, 37 points, but the last couple of years, 12 points, really dropped off. I'd say he was injured most of that season, and then last year, he was a healthy scratch most of the time. I think he might have been injured as well, but only put up 20 points. Making that much money, they basically gave up on him, moving some space, and they picked up Ryan Ellis beforehand, and we'll see here in just a minute, they picked up Ruotsalainen. We'll get to that in just a second, but I think this next trade here, very interesting, very shocking. Goaltender of the future for the Carolina Hurricanes. They traded him. Nedeljkovic goes to the Detroit Red Wings. He re-signed with them, 2-year deal. Honestly, Steve Yzerman is putting together another juggernaut. He did it in Tampa Bay. Their new GM took over, obviously built that team as well. But Steve Yzerman, I think he's doing it again in Detroit. I think in the next 3, 4, 5 years, Detroit is going to be back on the map, contending for Stanley Cups. They got Carolina gets Bernier and a 3rd-round pick, which they picked up this Hershka kid. Not too sure what he has done. U.S. kid, I mean, development type player, so we'll see what he turns into. Again, the next couple of trades, pretty interesting here. Flyers, again, they get Rasmus Ruotsalainen. I know there were a lot of teams interested in him, but they picked up Ellis and Ruotsalainen to shore up the back end as they already have Provorov and Braun on the back end. So that's a solid top 4 for the Flyers. I think they're going to be a solid team. They needed to shore up the back end, which I thought was one of their weaknesses last year, and I think they've gone out and done that here in free agency. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see if there will be injuries or how things play out with them getting used to the system, but they gave up Robert Haig, a 1st-round pick and a 2nd-round pick in 2023, and the Sabres picked up this Isaac Rosen kid. I'm not too sure how touted he is. 18 years old, obviously a 1st-round player. I don't know what he's done at World Juniors. Let's see here. World Juniors 18, he put up 9 points there. World Juniors U17, 2 points. Let's see here, U16, 5 points. So honestly, I'm sure he's a development type player. We'll see what he can do. I know, again, who knows with Buffalo, they might be losing Eichel. We'll see a trade later up of another big time player that they got rid of, so that'll be interesting to see. Big trade here. I was kind of shocked by this one, to be honest. Pavel Buchnevich goes to the Blues from the Rangers, and the Rangers pick up Sammy Blais and a 2nd-round pick. I think that is almost a win for, I guess, St. Louis. I think both teams are happy with this. I think maybe the Rangers a little bit more happy. I guess that they weren't able to make a deal with Buchnevich. Figured might as well move him to get something out of him, and they got a 2nd-round pick in Sammy Blais. And who knows, Sammy Blais might be able to break out with the Rangers. We will have to wait and see, but I think the winners of that trade were the Rangers getting a 2nd-round pick out of it, as I think Buchnevich, I forget what pick he was. Yeah, he was a 3rd-round pick, so you flip him for a 2nd-round pick. I mean, you could eventually get somebody maybe a little bit better. Who knows? But another dump here in the desert with cap, and this time it's coming from the Vancouver Canucks, as they pick up the captain of the Coyotes, OEL, Oliver Eckman Larson, solid defenseman, great player. They also picked up Connor Garland, who they're also going to need to make a deal for, but they moved a lot of cap off their space in order to do so. They got rid of Roussel, Jay Beagle, and Louis Eriksson. They did, however, have to give up a 1st, 2nd, and a 7th-round pick. And with that, Arizona took the Dylan Guenther. I'm not too sure who this guy is or if I even said his name right. His name rings a bell. 18 years of age. World Juniors 18, 7 points. Edmonton Oilers Kings put up 24 points in 12 games last year. That's kind of insane. 59 in 58. So he's going to be a solid player. Look at that Bantam Prep. 103 points in 30 games played. That's insane. Obviously, it's Bantam Prep hockey, but that's still crazy to see. Honestly, I think the winners of this trade are the Canucks. They get OEL plus Connor Garland. They're going to be a pretty solid team here moving forward, but another massive trade here above them for the Chicago Blackhawks, getting Seth Jones. They got a first-round pick and a sixth-round pick, and they picked up Nolan Allen. Not too familiar with this kid as well. Again, 18 years of age, left-handed. Let's see here. Stat line. Looks to be a defenseman. I mean, we'll see what he can do. I don't know how solid of a player he is. Again, I wasn't really up to date with the draft, but in return, they got Adam Vogvist, a first-round pick who they picked up Cole Slinger. They also picked up a second-round pick and a conditional first-round pick. So that is kind of crazy. Honestly, I think the winners of this deal might be the Chicago Blackhawks. They got Seth Jones, one of the best defensemen in the league. And Columbus, they lost him. They couldn't keep him. He didn't want to re-sign. He wanted out. And he got out. He went to a team where they moved Duncan Keith, where everyone's like, why are you moving Keith? Obviously, it was to move some cap around in order to get Seth Jones. Now, up a second-round pick for Jake Bean. I think that's another sort of filler for the loss of Seth Jones, bringing him into Columbus. We got, basically, now we're getting into some draft day trades. We got a bunch of picks flopping around here. Detroit basically moving up in the draft, but had to give up a lot. Nothing really else player-wise that's kind of crazy. Again, all of these being picks. I think one of the later ones in the draft, basically a one-for-one swap. Cam Atkinson for Jacob Voracek. Voracek going back to the Blue Jackets. Atkinson to the Flyers. That'll be an interesting combo. Honestly, getting rid of Voracek, you shed some cap off your sheets. Losing a solid player. He's been with the Flyers for a long time. Obviously going back to an area he is familiar with. He was with them for a little bit. But that will be interesting to see. I know a lot of Blue Jackets fans are sad to see Atkinson go, but I'm sure they'll be happy to have Voracek back. Another big trade here, which I don't know how I think about this one. Buffalo getting Devin Levi. I believe he is a goaltender. Catches left. Yes, he is a goaltender. World Juniors. I know he was highly touted, big goalie. Well, I wouldn't say big. He's 6 foot. Nothing too crazy there. Plus, they get a conditional first-round pick. So that's interesting. Really, the condition is if it's a top 10, it moves to 2023. For Sam Reinhart. Again, honestly, I think this is great for Sam Reinhart. I think it's great for his career. I think he is going to enjoy playing with a great team in the Florida Panthers with Reinhart, Huberdeau, and the entire company in total. Buffalo, honestly, they're in rebuild mode right now, and they're getting picks out of it. They're getting prospects. They're doing what any rebuild needs to do, but I think next is we will see Jack Eichel move here very soon. Could be by Wednesday. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, but that's pretty much all the player picks, or player, not picks, but player trades in this trade opening so far, guys, and honestly, it's been pretty crazy. And let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Who you think the biggest acquisition has been? Who do you think the biggest trade has been? Who do you think's made the biggest mistake as a team? That will be interesting to see who it has been. Honestly, it's up to debate. I want to hear what you guys have to say. But that is actually going to be it for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like on this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe because we will be dropping more videos like this. I plan to bring one out on Friday for more trade deals. Hopefully Wednesday through Friday, it'll get a little crazy. We'll have to wait and see, but I hope you guys have a good one. And as always, stay dusty.